but there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dark pass away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be
Winter reveals the hidden lie. Moonlight could mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.
all the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Hello, everybody. I'm sitting here loving on this baby. You say hi. This is my baby. So my mommy got a new little doggie, and she named her my baby. Well, I got this little kitten, and I have named her my baby. Say welcome to Hillbilly Crime. My name is Elizabeth, and this is my baby. And she is just rotten as she can be, aren't you? She beats up all the adult cats that we have. She is my number 5. And all the old cats think that they're young again now. She's given them all a new pep in their step. But anyway, so that I guess that's enough of my introduction of my baby. We're animal lovers, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We're a little bit late this evening, but that's all right. I couldn't get myself together, y'all. I just could not get myself together. So we've been going through a really difficult situation here in my neighborhood, dealing with these dogs that have been abandoned. Now, listen, I don't want anybody to come clean this up. We're going to clean it up ourselves. But I'm waiting on Mommy. You know, she's gotten COVID for the very first time last week. So we're waiting on her to feel a little bit better and get over here. And we're also going to have some other people come and help us clean it up and just to be here, so we're not here by ourselves whenever it goes down. But it's been a very emotional journey. Like, this has really been a very taxing, emotionally draining thing that's been going on for I've lived here for almost 2 years, and it's been going on since I've lived here. And it's just struggle. But anyway, but it relates. I haven't really talked about it a whole lot on the show because I really didn't know how to even go about it. But it relates to what we talk about because it's the power plays. Every bit of this could have been avoided. But what happened was somebody made a bad decision. Somebody made a bad choice. And because they wanted to be friends with somebody. So that ugly nepotism gets in the way. And because they're friends with somebody, law enforcement steps in and says, well, that's my friend. No, I'm not going to let social services come in here and take their kids. They're good parents. No, I don't want you to do that. So they put their thumb on the scale. And then the dog wardens come in and they're like, nope. Now that's my friend. I don't want you guys taking their dogs. So they put their thumb on the scale again. And what do you think happens? Well, the dog warden doesn't take the dogs because the police officer has asked them not to. And then on the other side of it, and meanwhile, you've got kids swimming in that green swimming pool. You've got them never going to school, hardly ever, constantly truant. You've got them in SMEX offender's house. You've got you've got the school calling. You've got the school having to bathe them. You've got a mess. But they're not going to do what they would normally do because a police officer has put their thumb on the scale and said, no, they're really good parents. I'm going to vouch for them. I don't want you to do any of this stuff. So what do? They leave the children in a horrible environment where they continue to be neglected, abused, exposed to horrendous things that they should not be exposed to at such young ages. Okay? Now, this is just one situation. One situation. So, and it's really like you can't even make it up, right? So, this man pew-pews and unalives a neighbor's dog that was chasing chickens that have been roaming the neighborhood. Nothing happened. Nothing was done to him for that. But yet their dogs can roam our neighborhood and bite us, tear our garbage up. If I let my dog out to defend me, like just to protect me getting to my car, without being bit, because I've been bit about 5 times. My kids have been bit. My kids' friends have been bit. But if I let my dog out to protect me from being bit, then the cops come up here and threaten to write me a summons, and the other cop threatened to pew-pew my dog. So we have to keep ours in while theirs go crazy and everything. And then they locked them in a house for a month, right? Well, we called dog warden. They don't do anything. So the dogs get out, and the dogs are out tearing you garbage up, and it's like, well, you complain if they're out and you complain if they're up. Well, we can't help it that they're absolutely just plumb right? And they go from one extreme to the next. Like, we didn't say lock them in a house for a month. We didn't say lock them in a hot tuna can in my backyard that gets about 120 degrees out there, where the dogs are shaking almost season because it's so hot. And there's a padlock on it, you know. But then again, I'm not going to cut that bad boy open and then give them a reason to put me in jail. Listen, I think they're trying to put hillbilly crime in jail, y'all. Like pushing you until you absolutely just cannot take anymore and you blow up. That's the kind of thing. So we've really just been struggling here, and it's been really affecting me greatly. And I just could not get myself together today because I've been dealing with those dogs all day. And it's not fun. It's just not fun. Anyway, all right. So we're going to talk about power plays. We're talking about the Letcher Fiscal Court, the Letcher County Fiscal Court. Now, yesterday, we watched the fiscal court meeting from the other night, right? And, you know, here this last week, it's been, everybody's wanting to talk about fiscal court. Because the big news was that there was some infidelity on the fiscal court. Completely deleted all of their all of their social media. Now, they were already in control mode by the time I found out about it. And I've tried not to talk too much about it, the personal side of it. But I think it's important that if you put yourself, okay, if you take a job, if you willingly put yourself into a position of, you know, authority where your duties and your decisions matter, right? Well, then you also should make sure that your actions are held to that higher standard, right? So if nobody's looking, am I going to do the right thing? Or am I going to give in to that little devil over here on this other shoulder? Nobody will ever know. Nope, but you better not. God will know. Oh, come on. Go ahead. Nobody will ever know. Well, what it does for me is it shows a character. It's a, especially when it's happened so many times, it's like a repeated thing. You can't be faithful to any wife. Well, how are you supposed to be faithful to the voters? What if temptation gets the better of you in another aspect? Because all that shows me is that you can't control yourself. Temptation gets around you and you just cannot control yourself. And you do not make very good decisions. Your judgment, that does not show very good judgment. And then to get on social media and show everybody, oh, we're at vacation, but life is good. Life is wonderful. We are so happy. You know, there comes a time when accountability, like, you know, I'm not perfect. I screw up all the time. And it's really, really hard sometimes. Well, not sometimes, it is all the time. It's hard to admit when we're wrong. It's hard to admit when we've made a mistake, but that's all part of growing. It's part of growing. It's part of being accountable. It's part of holding yourself accountable and each other. I know it's hard to hold each other accountable. I'm not really a great person for confrontation. Okay. Like everybody keeps saying, well, have you called these people and have you called them? I can't call anybody, y'all. I cannot call anybody. Could you imagine me on the phone? Like, I get so upset when they start giving me a big bunch of BS. I call them out. And the next thing you know, my voice is getting loud and I just emotionally, I'm spent over this. I just cannot deal with the stupidity. I cannot deal with the incompetence. And I cannot deal with the just blatant corruption. It's nepotism at its best. And it hurts the citizens, law-abiding citizens. Can you imagine if anybody would ever want to move to Jenkins? Well, nobody that's worth their salt is going to want to move to a place where they see the leadership taking the side of criminals over law-abiding citizens. Like, I would love to have put a deck on this house. Mommy said she would buy all the wood and that we would put a deck all the way around this house. We'd be able to put like a basketball goal down here for the boys, because my kids play sports. This is my land. I should be able to use my land for my children and me and my own animals. I shouldn't be forced or be afraid to move this stuff off my property, and but for somebody to like move here, well, do you think that somebody's going to want to come? Like, they keep complaining about everybody's moving away. Everybody's moving away. Let's try and get people to move here. Let's try and bring people here. Well, there's some things that have to change before people are going to want to move here. Let's go talk about the fiscal court. Let's talk about what we saw in that meeting last night. We saw two members of this community speak up in that meeting, talking about the bids, the contract bidding. One of the fellas that spoke up was Wade Adams. No relation, I don't think, to Terry Adams. Wade is a former Kentucky State Police officer, from what I have found. And he said that he told me that in a message that he had reported some wrongdoing and nothing was done about it, and so that's why he left, I think. Being a trooper, that's awful admirable. That's one of the things that I've said a lot of about good cops versus bad cops. They work side by side. You don't have bad cops that are doing it without the good cops seeing it. Good cops are seeing it. They're riding right along in the same car with them. You think they don't know what the hell they're doing? They're watching it with their own eyes. And if you turn a blind eye, if you watch your partner use excessive force, if you watch your partner breaking somebody's civil rights. If you allow that to continue and you don't stop it, you don't step in, there's in some states, I think they have like a duty to intervene. I don't know if Kentucky's one of them, probably ain't, but I don't know. Even if they did have a law, you have to have people who are willing to enforce the laws. And number one, if they don't know anything about the laws, well, then they're probably not going to enforce them very well. They sure ain't going to enforce them correctly. You think? Man, I'm telling you what, I just about can't handle this stupidity. Okay. Now I pulled up a couple old news reports that were talking about the fiscal court. And so I want to bring those up and let's look and see. These were years ago. This proves my point, though, on these issues were being pointed out 10 years ago. They have had plenty of time to get this crap in order and get some rein in some stuff. Sorry, it's late.
Letcher County.
Okay.
Increases. By 5-1 votes, the Letcher County Fiscal Court Monday passed measures that will raise garbage collection fees and telephone bills. The increases are part of an effort to shore up a $1.6 million budget deficit this fiscal year.
We got to have an
$1.6 million deficit. Now, this was with Jim Ward. Jim Ward used to be our judge executive, and this is Jim Ward. But this shows you, we're going to see with Terry too. Oh, yeah, we're going to watch with Terry too. But this shows you how long the citizens of Letcher County have been dealing with this kind of financial, I would say, white-collar crime. Yeah.
enough money. Do we discontinue picking up garbage? Or do you discontinue your 911 service to where you can't pick up the phone and call 911? That's at the point we're at.
Rebecca Miller runs a small business in Letcher County and pays for the county's garbage service.
Obviously, anytime there's a price increase, there's going to be a concern. But honestly, I don't see this price increase affecting me in a huge way.
And even though the increases seem small, some in Letcher County, like Dexter Campbell, say they add up over time.
Yes, it's somewhat concerning. I wouldn't like to see it every year, but sometimes I guess they're inevitable that you're going to have some increases.
The judge executive expects the new fees to be implemented within 1 month. Senior citizens will still receive their $2 per month discount on their garbage service, and the increased garbage fees will not affect people on city garbage service.
All right. So we're going to kick that one out, and let me bring up this other one.
Letcher County Fiscal Court session. A special meeting was called to discuss budget issues. We're told the county is dealing with a deficit totaling nearly $3 million. I was at the meeting today where a lot was said, but very little accomplished.
So this is a different year. It's not the same year. I picked stories from different years. So this particular year, it's almost $3 million in deficits.
Passions ran high Thursday at the Letcher County Fiscal Court meeting.
They're making a statement about, I don't think they care about the senior citizens a lot.
The county faces a problem. There's not enough money. Since just last year.
Do you see how many people are at that meeting? Did you notice how many were at it yesterday? The one that we watched last night. There was nowhere near this many people. We don't have near the engagement that we desperately need involved in our government.
Letcher racked up a $900,000 deficit.
We can't put a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. It won't help.
Programs such as senior centers and recycling centers are on the chopping block. Judge Executive Jim Ward says the lack of coal severance money has forced them to make some cuts.
We are going to have tight times, and I don't deny that, but I don't think you start with the most vulnerable people that we've got.
Many seniors showed up to the meeting and voiced their concerns. They say the centers are a gathering place.
We don't
This backwoods Georgia girl, she says, I fake being crazy. People are afraid of crazy people. I'll be out there vacuuming my driveway and talking to myself to play the part. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, you guys are getting ready to see one of the most amazing, she's one of the most precious little old ladies that you would ever want to meet in your life. And I've not seen any video of her in a long time.
We don't have to have the meal. We could socialize and enjoy ourselves at the centers, which they won't allow now, don't look like.
That was Miss Ollie. I love Miss Ollie.
Ward says in 3 weeks, these programs will run out of money, but in court, very little was resolved.
We kicked the can down the road. Well, in 3 weeks, that can's going over the cliff.
Yeah.
Now it's up to the budget committee to crunch the numbers yet again. The hope is they will come up with a solution before it's too late. Now, Jim Ward told me today he proposed an idea to merge the 6 senior centers. He says folks could meet at the recreation center in Whitesburg and have similar services, but that option was not discussed today at the meeting.
So they really did away with all of the senior citizen centers. They did that a long time ago, and that seems like that's when that happened. We can look back at the last 10, 15 years at how many bad decisions people have made. But here's the thing. It's the bad decisions that they made way before they ever got to the point where they were kicking the can down the road. You have to make better decisions on the front end. What is it that I've said many times talking about somebody? So if you are looking for, say, a prosecutor, you've got a prosecutor's position to fill, and you're looking at the, what attorneys are around, what candidates do we have to choose from that we could pick to make a prosecutor. Well, if you've got somebody who's on their like fourth spouse, and they've cheated on their spouses, kind of consistently, and they have lived way above their means, their credit is maxed out to the max, and it doesn't look like they've been very responsible in their personal life. Well, do you think that would be a really good idea to pick that person and make them a prosecutor? Somebody that's supposed to be honest, trustworthy, somebody that you can, trust their word. Do you think you're going to be able to trust that that their judgment is good, and that they're going to make the right kinds of decisions that you would want a prosecutor to make? Do you think that they're going to have the kind of moral character and fiber to even do that? If they're not even able to do it in their own personal life, you think they're going to be able to do it in their professional life? Are you kidding me? See, that's the kinds of things that we have to start taking accountability for. If we keep voting people like that into these positions, like if we see that there's some like fishiness going on, in their personal life, well, do you think that fishiness is going to carry right on over to their professional? And the political, let's look at politics. So say somebody doesn't have a job, okay? Don't have no job. But around here, what pays pretty good? Preaching. Well, you can become a preacher. You can preach and go around to the church, on the church scene. And especially if you're a traveling preacher and you go to different churches and preach, well, what happens is that home church will usually pay you. They're going to give you some money for coming and preaching. And then they're going to pass around the offering plate to the people in the church to take up a love offering. And so if you're a traveling preacher, you can at least survive, right? You can make enough money just traveling the local scene. You can do that enough to make enough money to survive at least, and then get you, shaking hands and getting to know people. And before you know it, you're going to end up, getting you a job. Put your name in the hat, get elected magistrate. Well, there's your $25,000 income, which, 25 grand, you're not gonna get rich off of that, but it's gonna help you, So now you've got a $25,000 income. Well, then you get in rubbing elbows with all the in crowd. Then you get offered a job at one of the local places. We just won't say no names. We'll just say a local business that's very involved politically. They're going to give you a good job, and they're going to give you a good job. Is that ethical? Is that ethical? Because that same company then is contracted through your jail. They're contracted in other ways, plus related to people. I mean, is that ethical? I don't know. But I know there's a whole lot of bad stuff, a whole lot of unethical stuff, I think, is going on. Let me pull up ER Assist. We're going to look and see what ER Assist is. Now, if you didn't watch last night, you might be a little bit lost. I'm sorry. So we watched the fiscal court last night here in Letcher County. Now, we flooded in 2022 and we flooded in 2025. And instead of our fiscal court, which is a group of people who were voted to represent different districts in our county, and they control the money of our county. They control like the fixing of the roads and just all of the financing, the county's financing. And instead of a lot of the contracts and stuff going to local people, they ended up partnering with this ER Assist company. And it's really upset a lot of people. So how to put ER Assist to work? Disaster grant services. So procurement to comply with federal and state contracting and grant reimbursement requirements. Contracts, even those in a disaster, must follow appropriate procurement. The state of Kentucky has competitively procured a master agreement contract with ER Assist Inc., able to be utilized by all state agencies, cities, counties, etc., within the state of Kentucky. This master agreement meets all procurement requirements regardless of dollar amount threshold or current state of emergency. This means Kentucky applicants to the FEMA PA program can immediately hire ER Assist. No RFP, no publication in the newspaper, no bid review board, no delay to start your funding reimbursement. The master agreement can be found on transparencykentucky.gov and DFS. Well, we'll go look at that too here in just a second. Costs under this master agreement may vary based on the level of assistance required. $35, $65, $95, or $125. And I don't know what that means. For what? Costs are reimbursed. The reimbursement rate is at least 75% federal reimbursement for emergency operations staffing and debris monitoring, with 12% state. Reimbursement may be higher. We can assist with other grants to cover the entire local share. The reimbursement rate for grant management is 100%. The federal government will reimburse you 100% of ER Assist grant management costs. Notice to proceed and contract task order. Give us a notice to proceed. This can be a letter on letterhead, a handwritten paper signed and witnessed, or an email. CC additional personnel within your organization. Sign a contract and task order. Sample contract and task orders for grant management and debris monitoring can be found. Okay. So that gives us a sample contract. Notice to proceed may suffice if contract is to be signed after governing body or legal review. Even though the state of Kentucky has done procurement, to comply with reimbursement, we'll still need a contract that has all the required clauses Clean Water Act, Bird, anti-lobbying, etc. Assign us to a point of contact within your organization to report to. From there, we'll coordinate and start providing you actionable information and progress reports. So see, that's what I kind of felt like we've been watching is a bunch of progress reports. Every time they come into the fiscal court and that lady gets up there and just reads off all this stuff. She just reads all these numbers and stuff. They never tell you what the numbers are even for. And it seemed to me like they were having some awful big numbers that they were reporting last night or whenever we watched it. Unhappy author. This was a crisis of emergency funding, which was robbed, worst of all, by Nigerian scammers. Well, you must have been talking about something else before. Sorry. Government set aside emergency money from taxpayers, and if there is an emergency, they pay it to the taxpayers. Emergency system was robbed by scammers and ID thieves. Huh. Well, I don't know anything about that, but I know that we got robbed here in Letcher County, and I know that people are still getting robbed right here in Letcher County. So I'm gonna pull up what we watched last night and just kind of go back over it a second. We're not going to watch the whole thing or nothing. We are going to, I'm just going to pull it up where that fella was talking. So there was a couple arguments that took place. I guess you'd call it arguments.
A little bit of a lot of upper respiratory issues from top of my throat. We've got vital status. We have a list. I'm not going to read it all to you. We have procurement. I'm going to start in reverse order. On the second page, emergency culverts. I'm sorry, Aaron was going to be here today, but we had a issue with one of our site inspection teams this morning, so he ran out to address that. And
hit that like button for us, y'all.
On the emergency culverts, the recommendation is to go with Beyond West.
Okay, I'll turn those comments off the screen, see if maybe that'll help some with the freezing. Okay, so what they were talking about, what she's talking about are emergency culverts. Okay, do you know what a culvert is? Let me, I also pulled up the audit, the 2023 audit, and one of our diggers, shout out to all of our diggers. If anybody has any information or if you can find things that we're looking for, please send it to us, hillbillycrime@gmail.com. But the emergency culvert, or the culverts that they were putting in, replacement after flooding. Okay, so let's look and see what a culvert is. See if it shows replacing. Okay, so let me stop sharing that and pull up this other screen here, just so you guys know what we're talking about here. Okay, so this is a culvert. These are culverts. Like, do you see that? Let me go over here and see. You see those things there? I'm sure they make them out of all different kinds of stuff. I'm sure they make them out of metal and this plastic here and just all different kinds of stuff. I'm sure no culvert expert or nothing, but that's what a culvert, I think, is. Like here, if this, you see there, those are culverts. Did that come up? That didn't come up. Okay, let's see. It still didn't. Okay. Let me stop sharing it and I'll go this way, because this is a great photo. Do you see that? Yes, that's a culvert. But see, it's went right up underneath that road there. And then when it floods, these things get all jacked up. And the roads get all jacked up with the flooding. So that's what a culvert is. So you had bids, because a lot of our roads were destroyed during that flood of 2022 now. This is 2025. This was the flood of 2022 that they're talking about. And we had another flood earlier this year that did a whole lot of damage. That a lot of these culverts that they had replaced whenever the flood happened earlier this year, it knocked them all right back out of the driveways and the bridges and stuff. It's been awful. But that's what a culvert is. Okay. So that's what she's talking about here. And we had companies that were bidding for these jobs. So you had construction workers or companies, local construction companies. And one of the guys that's sitting in this meeting is the owner of one of those companies. And he bid on one of the projects.
Have the lowest price on every type of culvert, it was the overall average lowest price.
Okay, now they are supposed to, the way that they have their rules set. I mean, I don't know who sets them. I don't know if it's the fiscal court themselves who set those. I don't know if the ER assist sets it. I don't know. Let me pull this up and see. Let's see. Let me go to my messages here, and I wanted to see, because this guy sent me a message.
For those costs.
Have a motion on the emergency culvert installation.
Judge, I've got that I am a little surprised
Well, we have a post that is
So what happened was this guy that was sitting in the back, Mr. Adams, no relation to Judge Executive here. And he said, Judge, I was the lowest bid on that. I was the lowest bid on that. Here we go. It took me a minute to find it. Sheesh. Okay. All right. So what we're looking at federal funding. Okay. And picking who gets this bid work. And now he is supposed to be going according to the lowest bid. So let's look and see what happens.
previous and you weren't able or willing to do all of the work.
Now see, you see that lady's, the look on her face? So what she said was, yeah, you were the lowest bid, but you weren't able or willing to do the work. And he comes back and says, well, yes, I was. Yes, I am. What are you talking about? Let's listen to it. Let's see what he says. Now, it's hard. It's kind of hard to hear, but we've got the captions on. So that's really the only way that we know what they say.
Not our documentation to that.
She says, well, that is not our documentation to that. Now he's sitting there telling her to her face, yeah, I am. What are you talking about? But she looks at Judge and she's like, no, Judge, no. That is not according to our documentation. Well, where did you get your documentation? Didn't you get your documentation from him? Wouldn't it have come from Mr. Adams, Mr. Wade Adams? Not Terry, Wade.
That's why we had to rebid it twice.
She says that's why we had to rebid it twice. Now maybe, I don't know, did he make a mistake? Did they make a mistake on something and then they had to redo it? Which, okay, if they did, what's the harm in it, right? I don't know if that's what happened. I'm just saying, if it did, worst case scenario, somebody made a mistake on a form and you ended up having to bid it twice. Well, doesn't he still end up being the lowest bid on the second bid? If nothing's changed, I don't know. I don't know if anything changed or not. I haven't gotten that paperwork yet, but I will be getting it, hopefully. Well, what did he say? He said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Now, this is a former state trooper. I know usually I'm very critical, but I know this guy's daddy. I don't know Wade Adams personally, but I do know his daddy. And, you know, his daddy's a pretty upstanding fella. I mean, he takes his, for years, he took his little old mommy, like, and we're talking elderly. You know, my mom's almost 80. She's 79. So she was older than my mom. And he took her to church every single Sunday for years and years and years. Just loved on his little mommy and walked her to and from her car. I mean, good, just, I don't know. He's a good dude. And everybody that I've talked to, I've reached out to people and I said, tell me what you think of Wade Adams. What do you know about this guy? And they've all said, good dude, good people, real good people. You know, reputations matter. Reputations matter. You don't get a second chance to make a first impression. We might get there. We might. I don't know. There we go. There we go. I don't remember what I was saying now, y'all. Sheesh. All right, let me get this pulled back up here. We're going to finish watching it. Well, we was talking about Wade Adams. Everybody said that Wade was a really good dude. So, I think that if we have a former state police officer who is sitting out here in the courtroom, you know, and they're saying, "Hey, judge, I don't know what she's talking about, but I am the lowest bid on that." I think that he deserves the respect enough, especially as a local and a local member of this community generationally. You know, I think he deserves the respect to stop everything, stop announcing this contract, and look into what he's saying. Don't you think that would be a good way to show the people? You know, I mean, this is what happens. People get in these positions and they just start to feel entitled. This is my courthouse. This is my job. This is mine, mine, mine. Instead of looking at it as a job, look, you are supposed to be serving the county, the people of the county. You're not up there to get rich. You're not up there to find all the loopholes and find all the ways that you and your family can make money on property, on contracts, on grants, on funding. You're not supposed to be doing that. Like, you're not supposed to be doing insider trading. You know, it's kind of like, I kind of compare it to, you know, stockbrokers. Stockbrokers are not allowed to do any kind of insider trading. Like, if they know something, they're not allowed to call their brother-in-law and say, "Hey, I just got a great, you know, tip on something, and I need you to put so much money into this." They're not allowed to do that. Well, I don't think somebody in a position such as what we're talking about here should be able to say, hey, brother, I'm going to give you this money, and I want you to go buy this property, or I want you to put this property in your name. I want you to do this because we're getting ready to get this big grant coming down the pike, and we'll be able to sell that here in about 10 years for 10 times what we pay for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of thing that turns it into RICO crimes. Those are the kinds of things that turn it into, you know, corruption. Right? So they're telling him, they're saying there's a discrepancy. Well, if there was a question about it, why wouldn't they reach out to Mr. Adams and see if maybe there was a mistake that was made? Now he's saying, no, I didn't make the mistake. I did everything I was supposed to do. And they're saying, oh, well, you know, okay. They just want their buddies to get the contract. And what else did we find out last night? This blessing, this Beth's blessing or whatever it is, they won all the contracts. All of them. Let's finish listening to this.
And that's beyond last y'all been bringing up. I'm still cheaper than they are if you follow my rating.
The question was,
That was not the bid back that we just bid on, because I've been on several things. This is something that keeps being brought up, that should not be brought up. When I won this contract, fair is fair.
He's saying fair is fair. I bid on all this stuff. This is an excuse that you guys are making. Even with the discrepancy that you're trying to say, my bids were still cheaper than this other company you're talking about. And this company is the one who got all of the bids, got all of the contracts. I don't know how many they put out. It could have just been one for all I know, but I'm sure it wasn't. It was more than that. Let's see what Judge does.
the difference was what the court talked about last court meeting was the difference. If it was going to be a 40-foot culvert, you wanted extra charge for it.
But it was still cheaper than Beyond West, which is the next one up.
Oh, okay. So I said Beth's blessing. I got them mixed up. Beth's blessing is one of the companies under ARC, under the rehab. So it was one of the companies that was in bad standing, I may add, under ARC, the rehab people. This was Beyond Blessed, was the name of it. And we looked that up last night. And the company is from East Bernstadt. And it's a big enough company, like they've got enough money that they've got, they must have an office in Whitesburg, or well, they've got one in Letcher County. It didn't specifically say Whitesburg, but I figure that's where it's at. It said Letcher County. It had like Johnson County. There were about 5 or 6 counties in Kentucky that it looked to me like they either had an office in or they worked in, but they were listed. So, you know, you don't work in 5 counties or have an office in 5 counties if you ain't got a company that's making the bank. Okay. I mean, you just don't. You just don't. People can't afford that kind of travel. They can't afford that kind of length in work. I know I didn't say that right, but you know what I'm talking about.
Right, but we couldn't just let you change the rates, so that's why we had to rebid it.
Right.
No,
We can't just do a contract and then.
the lowest bidder. And regardless,
Said that it's still about the lowest bidder. Still about the lowest bidder. She's like, well, we can't let you do this. Well, why? You're letting yourself do this. You guys are letting yourself knock a local out of one contract. One, that's greedy. That's greed. There's a whole lot of bad things going on down at the Letcher Fiscal Court. There's a whole lot of misappropriation, allegedly, that is going on in our fiscal court. And it seems like it's been going on for a very long time. When our audits continue to say the same thing every year. We're going to look at the audit here in just a second.
I want to thank you, I'm the lowest bidder.
But you weren't willing to do the work for the rate.
I've never refused.
But you weren't willing to do the work for the rate. And then she keeps turning around and looking at the judge, eyeballing the judge. Just unreal. Oh, you wouldn't believe the damage that flooding did to this area. It devastated this area. It knocked so many people out of their homes. Like, just unbelievable. And we should have used local people. They would have saved a lot of money. I think there would have been a whole lot less misappropriation if they would have done it locally. But you got to have the right people in these positions that are over this stuff. Like, I mean, if you'd have somebody that was trustworthy, that was over this stuff, that you could really trust that they were doing everything, for the good of the county and the good of the people, versus, how they can gain information so them and their family can make a buck off of it. How can we make $1? How can we make $1? We got to have a new vehicle this year. We got to do something, whatever. I don't know. I don't even know, because we don't live like that. We don't live that kind of lifestyle. I mean, sometimes I don't know if I'd like it or not. I'm not fancy. I'm not a fancy pants person. I don't live above my means. I'm not high maintenance. I've never had a pedicure in my life, even though I want one real bad. I don't get my nails done. I don't do my hair. I get my hair done maybe once a year. And my hairdresser has to fuss at me to do that. People just get, they like having them lake houses in Tennessee. They like having the camper at the campground. They've got kids and grandkids that they've got to buy cars for. And everybody's got to have the best of the best of the best, and we just got to be fancy. Got to be fancy.
The job. So don't give me that either. I don't know where this is coming from. I've done a lot of extra work for free as well.
So it sounds to me like he's won contracts in the past and he's done work for them. And he is plainly challenging what this lady is saying from ER Assist.
If it was 20 foot, it was for X amount of dollars. If it was 40 foot, it would just be double that price.
But I get that. But once again, we went over $100. I don't know why we keep going over this. The 20-foot rate was for 20 feet. When you decided to go up to a 40 or longer, the only thing I asked is that I got a chance to go with it. I just changed everything. What she's trying to do is change it beyond less it's ever culvert job.
To change it to where Beyond Blessed gets every culvert job.
Ridiculous. because I've had this contract since March.
Now, it sounds like Mr. Adams had this contract since March. Does that mean they just pulled it from him completely? I think that's exactly what that means. I think he just had his contract pulled.
Had 9 jobs since March. And this entire county is flooding over the culverts every time it rains. A good hard rain. We should be working to death. We should be up here doing this garbage of culverts every single week. Well, my company's around waiting to work.
But we can't arbitrarily.
Now, I'm also going to point out something else real quick. Do you all see that feller on the far right-hand side of your screen sitting next to Mr. Wade Adams? Well, that gentleman's name is Brian Fields. And I don't think he's related to Ben Fields. I do not think he is. I think they're a completely separate bunch. But Brian was my professor in school. He was my criminal justice professor, and he is running for Letcher County jailer against Bert Sloan's brother, Brian Sloan, who is the jailer right now. Brian Fields, this gentleman sitting here in the courtroom, all the years that he has worked at the college as a professor, I have never one time have I ever seen him down in Whitesburg in the circle, trying to be one of the good old boys. Never once. Never. Not one time. Not one time. Just thought I'd point that out.
Arbitrarily change that bid price beyond what it is. It has to be rebid.
That I clearly want should always come to me. This should be for things over 20 foot. What she's trying to do is change the whole thing above and beyond less than everything. We are a local company that does all our banking, all our business right here in this.
There you go. Thank you, Mr. Adams. They are a local company. They do all of their banking. They do all of their business right here in Letcher County.
Now, my understanding is beyond lessons from London.
No, they're local too.
He said, no, they're local too. Well, not according to what we dug up. Is there somebody here locally that's working for them? Who is it? Is it somebody that is related to you? Or is it somebody who's your friend? Do they have somebody working in their office here? Or do they have somebody that is answering a phone here? Is that person related to you? There's something fishy going on. There's something fishy going on.
Well, that's not what was on the last bid sheet underneath the night.
Uh-oh. Look at old girl back there. You see old girl back there in her black shirt? There's our chief deputy, Lena Hensley, y'all. There she is. That's the one came out here with the jailer to pick up the SMEX offender that they accidentally released. She heard me. She thought that was funny.
I tell you what, give me the 20 foot that I want clear, and I don't care what you do with the rest of them, even though I will be cheaper, which I think is a misuse of funds, somebody that's more expensive for personal preference.
And what we're bidding out now too is materials and labor.
Now, did you see that? So let's listen to what he just said again.
List that I won clear, and I don't care what to do with the rest of them, even though I will be cheaper. Which I
Even though he's already said he already won the bid, he had the bid, he was cheaper, regardless of all the stuff that she's trying to say. He's saying, I'm going to be cheaper.
think it's a misuse of funds, somebody that's more expensive.
And what he just said, I think it's a misuse of funds to go with somebody who's more expensive, even though he won the bid because his bid was cheaper. How come the fiscal court isn't having to like vote on this? How come the magistrates are all sitting there quiet? How come they aren't saying anything? Didn't they have to vote on all this stuff? Don't they have to vote on it? Or is every bit of this just discretionary, left up to Terry, to the judge executive? Because I don't think that's the way it works, is it? What's the point of even having magistrates if they're not going to have to vote on something like that, or at least discuss it and talk about it? Why would Terry get the discretion to just say, nope, we don't want your bid, we're going to go with these guys even though they cost more? How's that right? How can you do that when there's rules?
For personal preference.
And what we're bidding out now too is materials and labor.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
So then he just went to something else. He just moved on to something else instead of acknowledging what Wade Adams just said. He just made a huge accusation. That was a big, big, big accusation. And Terry just, well, we're just going to go on to materials and labor. And you don't have this magistrate backing Wade up. You don't have the female magistrate saying anything. You don't have the men saying anything. It's just Terry. Terry's the only one talking.
So what we'll be going with is the bid, if the court approves, the low bid at this point.
So he said, if the court approves the low bid at this point. So doesn't that mean that the magistrates had to vote on that? Ain't that what that means? Listen, I'm telling y'all, you better not ever start to talk to one of these people privately and believe anything that they say to you privately. Because if they're not willing to speak up in front of these people, like if they're not willing to speak up on this stuff in front of Terry, don't think that whatever they're saying behind, don't believe it. See, it's like this show. Some people don't like what I have to say, but the only ones that don't like what I have to say are the ones that I'm saying it about. Most everybody else, I'm just saying what they're thinking. I don't talk behind your back. I don't talk behind people's backs and gossip and all that stuff. I'm saying everything I'm saying to your face. I think you're misappropriating funds. I think what you're doing is wrong. Nobody cares, of course. Nobody cares, but I'll say it.
And that's per all of them, correct?
All of them, that's what the bid was.
For the materials, labor, everything.
Yes,
They supply the culverts, they supply everything.
yes. That's according to the bid.
I need a copy of that, because I bid on that as well.
Okay. Is there any other conversation or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And that's beyond blessed?
Yeah, beyond blessed.
Now look here. So you had this magistrate over here made the motion to approve beyond blessed. So here you go. Here's your vote, guys. Here's your vote. How do they all vote?
Have a second.
I'll second.
Any other conversation? Call the roll, Angie.
Chitty,
Yes.
Jack,
Yes.
Kenny,
No.
Dan. No. Judge Adam.
Yes.
All right. So there you go. There was your vote. The female voted no, and Kenny Anderson voted no, and the rest of them all voted yes. Why didn't they say more than no? You know, like you've got to advocate for you have to argue. We don't have enough people to question this stuff. You know, we're not supposed to be drinking the Kool-Aid, y'all. When somebody said, we've been going through this so many times, like somebody will say something that's just absolutely asinine. It does not make a lick of sense. It doesn't have a bit of common sense. It doesn't have any logic. It's just pure BS, an excuse. And people are like, okay, well, let's just move right on to something else. Okay, sounds good, buddy. Sounds good. Are you serious? No. That's one reason why I stop these. Like every time these people say stuff, I stop it. We're going to go over what they say. People just like to they have that gift of gab, and they can say just anything. They can have diarrhea of the mouth and make it sound good if you're not paying attention.
What's the pattern?
3-2.
Motion passed.
3-2, motion passed. Well, maybe if one of the other two magistrates had argued the points of why they were saying no, maybe they would have won one of the other magistrates' vote. Maybe they could have won over one of the others. You know what I'm saying? But what do I know? What do I know?
The next one is for Rail and Crit. We had 3 responses. 2 actually had the equipment to do the work and had references to.
So, is that all that ER Assist does? Like they're the ones that handle all this stuff, and then they come to the fiscal court meetings once a month and just give a report? Because that's what it says. When we read this, it says they give progress reports. So I wonder if they're actually worth all the money that they're costing the people of Letcher County. I don't think so. I think that local people here could have done just as good of a job, if not better. If not better. So, there was another gentleman at this meeting whose name was Jack Quillen. we're going to listen to Mr. Jack Quillen. He's more here at the end. And Jack Quillen said these people told him to lie for FEMA money when he was trying to get his FEMA stuff. So let me get there to it. Where he was at. They were also going over the fire department stuff. Hmm. You know, and I was also wondering, you know, when you had all these people accusing, like he's accusing her of doing weirdo stuff to try and get their preferred contractor to give their buddies the job instead. And then you've got this other guy, Jack Quillen, who's saying that these ER assist people told them to lie to get their FEMA money. And we had a county attorney, Jamie Hatton, sitting right there during this, and he never said a word. Like, wouldn't you be a little bit more concerned if people are saying that the company that you're using is telling them to lie and falsify records for FEMA? Like, that's a big, big deal. And I can't find it. So let me see. The conversation. So that he was talking about, he says, Mr. Jack Quillen says that the conversation that I had with ER Assist's employee was in April. I called his phone and asked about when my road was going to be repaved from the 2022 flood. He said he wasn't sure if it was on the list. He then said, "Have you seen FEMA since this last flood?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, if you see them, tell them that the damage occurred in the last flood." I said, "Well, I can't do that. I don't lie." He then said, "Well, if you do see them, don't say anything unless they ask." I wasn't at the court. Oh, so, and he says he wasn't there to cause any kind of trouble, Mr. Jack Quillen. He didn't go to the meeting to cause any trouble. But let me comment on that. You know, just because we bring things up and we have a complaint or we challenge a bad decision or, you know, something like that from our leaders, that does not mean that we are trying to cause trouble, even though we are often painted as troublemakers. Because we have been trying to get help with these dogs. It has been an absolute nightmare. We have been painted as crazies. We've been painted as the problem. We've been painted as the troublemakers, you know, just because we expected people to do their jobs, right? Anytime you expect somebody to do their job and do it correctly, or if you see them, like I'm talking about the good cops calling out the bad cops. So when you do call out this bad behavior, when you do call out the bad decisions, people get offended. They get offended. They get their toes stepped on. They get their feelings hurt, and they take it personal. And then the next thing you know, that's when they'll start to come after you. They'll target you, especially if they have friends who are willing to also target you just because you dared step out of line and speak up. So, Mr. Quillen, please don't stop trying to stick up for yourself. And don't think that by speaking out, you are causing trouble, because you're not. You have every right, as I and anybody else does, we have every right to hold our leaders accountable. They don't get a free pass just because they were voted to a position. That doesn't mean they get a free pass to then do whatever they want. But we also have to make sure that we make them suffer those consequences of their actions, and we cannot vote them back in again. That part is up to us, and we've got to mobilize at election time and get people to the polls. We got to get people to the voting booth. It's just all there is to it. I've gotten lazy the last couple elections. I got disillusioned, I got disappointed, and I didn't even go vote. Well, that's changing this time. I'm going to vote again. My vote does matter, and so does yours. But Mr. Jack Quillen said he just wants his road fixed. You know, and other people just want their roads fixed. The flood pushed the blacktop up 4 feet tall in front of my driveway. All the blacktop that's left on Sydney Drive is about 20 foot, and it's damaged, or that might be inches, I don't know. And it's damaged, but not so bad that it can't be driven on. So I guess that's inches. But, so that's what Mr. Quillen says about what happened with that. Anyway. We got some really good information on stuff going down in Whitesburg, y'all. I'm kind of struggling on how to tell it all. But so we're just going to go ahead and end this one tonight. We watched that one. We watched that one. Let me just make sure I got them all. Well, here's one. I don't think we watched this one. It's an old one too, but it shows you guys that we've just had so much trouble with this for a long time. Maybe we did watch this. I don't know. Yeah, we did. We did. That's our senior citizens. All right. Oh, the audit. The audit. Okay. Let's look at this audit and see what one of our diggers highlighted for us. She sent this to me a long time ago. Oh, of our audit. Can you guys see that? There you go. Based on the results of our audit, we present the accompanying schedule of findings and questioned costs included herein, which discusses the following report findings. The Letcher County Fiscal Court's financial statement was materially misstated. 2. Letcher County Fiscal Court did not have adequate controls over processing and recording withholdings. Number 3, the Letcher County Fiscal Court lacks adequate segregation of duties over receipts and reconciliations. That means they don't have enough checks and balances. The same person shouldn't be doing it all, because that allows for too much waste, fraud, and abuse not to be detected. Number 4, the Letcher County Court does not have strong internal controls over disbursements. The Letcher County Fiscal Court does not have adequate procedures for reporting county liabilities. Now, I also put the link to this in the description of this video, so if anybody was interested. Note number 14, contingencies. The county is involved in multiple lawsuits. While individually they may not be significant, in the aggregate, they could negatively impact the county's financial position. Due to the uncertainty of the litigation, a reasonable estimate of the financial impact on the county cannot be made at this time. I wonder what all lawsuits. So that's a good digger task if anybody wants to dig around and see what civil lawsuits the Letcher County was included in for 2023. That would give us a little bit of Now, I heard from a little birdie that MCHC was also being audited. I don't know if it's true or not. Just got it from a little birdie. Now, they should be audited. They were involved in a prescription scheme way back in the day that they did not get prosecuted over. And they should have. They absolutely should have. They were committing Medicaid fraud. I mean, allegedly. But in my opinion, they were committing Medicaid fraud. But the prosecutors decided not to prosecute, even though they had all the proof that they needed. So, let's get back over here. Exists when a design or operation of a control does not allow management or employees in the normal course of performing their assigned functions to prevent or detect and correct misstatements on a timely basis. A material weakness is a deficiency or a combination of deficiencies in internal control, such that there is a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement of the entity's financial statement will not be prevented or detected and corrected on a timely basis. We consider the deficiencies described in the accompanying schedule of findings and question costs, and then it gives it. So that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all 5 of them they considered to be material weaknesses. So what does that mean? That means that the way that our current fiscal court has the finances and stuff and has all the record keeping, well, according to this audit, the way that they have it is to where nobody could even detect any waste, fraud, or abuse. Does that make sense? Like, what did I say? You could put all that crap on a piece of paper and bring it to your boss or your supervisor or the fiscal court then and say, here's the numbers. Here's the budgets. Here you go. I got it ready for you. All it needs is your signature. You look at it. Yeah, man, looks good. Put that John Hancock on there and give it to him with a smile. Well, they just robbed you blind, buddy. If you don't know, if they have it set up to where you can't even find it, if you can't even detect, that's what that word means. Let's dissect these words. What does it mean? It means that that if you got some corrupt people on there, they can hide a lot of money. That's what that means. The results of our tests disclosed instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported under government auditing standards and which are described in the schedule. Views of responsible officials and planned corrective action. Do you understand that? The results of our tests disclosed instances of non-compliance, meaning that nobody's fixing any of this crap. Year after year after year, it's the same well, I want to say incompetence, I want to say negligence, but you know what? It's starting to look like it's intentional. What does that mean if it's intentional? That means somebody should be going to jail, probably. That's what that means. Somebody should probably be charged with some charges, which will never happen in a million years. It'll never happen. Unless it was some other kind of agency that came in and did it. All right, here, section 1 of the summary. Are any material weaknesses identified? Yes. Are any significant deficiencies identified? Well, none were reported. Are any non-compliances material to financial statements noted? Yes. Well, if you've got so many audits that say the same thing, don't you think somebody would start investigating? Okay. Number 1, the financial statement was materially misstated. The Letcher County Fiscal Court's financial statement was materially misstated. The county treasurer deposited loan proceeds of $1 million for the flood loan fund into the clerk storage fees fund in error. So they misplaced $1 million. Say that again. Say that again. They misplaced $1 million. The error was discovered and the funds were transferred to the correct fund. However, the financial statement shows the $1 million as a receipt of the clerk storage fees fund. The county treasurer was unaware that the deposit into the wrong fund should not have been recorded on the financial statement and should have been recorded in the fund that they were intended. As a result, the receipts for the clerk storage fees fund were overstated by $1 million. Effective internal controls require that any deposit error would not be included on the financial statement. So, looks like they messed up. You know, there should have been a little list of instructions somewhere. And if you're the treasurer, it's kind of important that you do that the right way. I mean, you know, just seems like that'd be common sense, you know. We recommend the fiscal court implement internal controls over receipts and deposits by ensuring that funds are deposited into the correct account and any errors or mistakes are not presented on the financial statement. Views of responsible official and planned corrective action. I about said coercive. County Judge Executive's response. When electronic deposits are made in the wrong fund, we will not post in the account the funds were erroneously placed in. Well, okay. Cool beans, man. Thanks there, Judge. The fiscal court did not have adequate controls over processing and recording withholdings. The Letcher County Fiscal Court's internal controls were not operating effectively as noted by the following deficiencies. The county treasurer failed to submit federal tax withholding forms for a fee official from July 22 through October 22. 23 of the 40 federal tax withholding payments were paid at a minimum of 30 days late. You might need a new treasurer. Who's your treasurer? 23 of the 40 were more than 30 days late. State withholdings were only paid for 17 of the 26 pay periods. So withholdings, ain't that off of people's paychecks? State withholdings were paid on 3 separate dates. The county treasurer submitted 4 payments on September 6th, 22, 5 payments on November 25th, 22, and 8 payments on April 4th, 23. The county treasurer failed to disperse city payroll taxes for fiscal year ending June 30th, 23. This resulted in an ending balance of $12,847 due to the city of Whitesburg. The above deficiencies occurred as a result of internal controls over payroll withholdings not being designed and or operating effectively. The lack of good internal controls over payroll could allow employees to be under or overpaid. Like that kind of is a really big deal to make sure that your employees' pay is, done correctly. Sounds to me like y'all need a new treasurer. Just because somebody's been there for years and years and years and years doesn't necessarily mean that they are the best for that position. Maybe somebody else should be given a chance. I mean, I know what it feels like not to ever get the door open to them because somebody's aunt or cousin or sister or uncle needed a job. Well, hell, there's a whole lot of us out here needed jobs that we weren't allowed to get none. But some goofball up the road that happened to be related to somebody got a dang good. All right, guys. Well, we are going to go ahead and end that there. If anybody has any information, needs to send me any documents, or anything like that, hillbillycrime@gmail.com. Thank you, Lord, for another day being able to come together in your house. Lord, I'm just grateful that I woke up this morning. I'm grateful for another day being able to be with my children. I'm grateful that we were able to buy them new beds this year, Lord. I'm just so thankful for all the blessing and favor that you give me, Lord. I pray that you'll continue to watch over us, Lord. I pray that you will continue to provide financially. I pray that you will just keep us hidden in the cleft of the rock, Lord. Keep your hand of protection around about us, that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. Hallelujah. I love you, Jesus. I thank you so much, Lord, for saving my soul. I thank you for the sacrifice that you made, dying on the cross for this world's sins. I love you, Jesus. I pray that you'll forgive me for my sins. I sure ain't perfect, and I fall short every single day. I pray that you'll make me a better person tomorrow, Lord. Every day that comes, we have the opportunity to be a better tomorrow than what we were yesterday. I love you, Jesus. And until we meet again tomorrow, we give you all praise, honor, and glory in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, amen. Hallelujah, hallelujah. All right, guys, we will see you all tomorrow. All right, peace out, Girl Scout, Boy Scout. Bye.